All right, I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for January 7th, 2025. First, looking for an approval of the agenda as amended. We will be removing 6A, the proclamation for the marching band. They couldn't make it out tonight. We'll be moving that to next week. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Please join us for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Amaya, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, I didn't get an agenda. Okay.
I would like to take a moment to welcome Council Member Sieberling. This is her first meeting with being with us after being newly elected. Welcome, and we're happy to have you. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Alana. It is my pleasure to be here and to serve my community. Thank you.
Great. All right, we'll go into public comments. We have one person signed up, Janice Ray. Do come to the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Janice Rail, R-A-Y-L. I live at 131 Cabell Drive in Manassas Park. And I have lived here, I'm sole resident and occupant and owner of free and title and clear of my mortgage, 131 Cabell Drive. I've lived in the area since approximately 1964 when we moved here from my father's servant in the military. So I've been a nurse in the area 48 years. I really appreciate everything the council has done. It's my first time coming here, and I'm really aggravated. Not at you guys, but at a neighbor that I am at my wit's end with. Thank you for keeping the streets clean, and I want to thank former council member Laura Hampton for telling me I could come here. I have texted my neighbors about their cars. I've talked to them. I appreciate you guys putting up the signs about the, no commercial. So here's the reality of that. The dump truck is now parked in the backyard. The trailer is now parked in the backyard. And I still have 3 cars in front of my house. I have 1 car. I had 2 knee replacements. My father couldn't pick me up for surgery unless I stepped into the drive, which is really hard when you just had knee replacements. Now I just found out that I have a tumor and I'm gonna have to have more surgery. So yesterday, and I know pictures with 1,000 words, so I got a bunch of pictures, including that this has gone on, that they have 10 cars. It's ridiculous, 3 drivers. And yesterday when I said, can you please move your truck so I don't have to push so hard, because some of my medical problems are painful. And I shouldn't be lifting, but you do what you gotta do. And I had to plow out 5 feet from my driveway to the pavement to get my car out. And I can't keep doing that. It is to the point where I'm like, should I move? That's why I told my neighbor of 30-something years. She said, no, go talk to council. Because my suggestion is this. At day 30, they moved the car with another one of their cars at day 29 or 30, so that law's not working. So I want to say that 1 car from somebody other than the resident may be parked in another resident's home. So if my guests are coming, they can park in front of my house. People can pick me up. My neighbor can park in one of the spots. I told him park at the far end, so I still have 2 other spots. I have a whole bunch of texts. This has been going on for 10 years that I live there. And I try to be nice to everybody. And she says, you can't please everybody all the time. So I'm not the only resident that deals with this. I know a lot of people from being a home nurse in our city and just from being here forever. And you can probably tell I'm not the quiet person. So it's gonna take some law to fix this. So I'm asking that you please change the law to something. If you want me to meet with somebody for some more brainstorm ideas, I'm happy to do it. But I'll give you these pictures. They currently have a dump truck, a trailer, 3 SUVs, 2 cars, 2 trucks, the sister-in-law from Winchester's car, and their 2 teenagers' cars. I don't even think they have insurance on everything, and they get everything marked, what do you call that? Antique. The upper capacity boy. That one.
Oh,
My writing might not be the clearest on there, but thank you for hearing me.
But, Ms. Real, have you considered trying to get the city to put a blue curb in front of your address so that you would have a handicap parking space for yourself?
I was told that they can't do that for private residents, it's only for business. So if that's
That's not
not
true.
true, I'd like to know how I do that.
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
yeah, can you send me an email about that? Because I don't have context on that particular incident. Or if you could just get with me offline.
Okay, I'll get your email, because my dad has also got a handicap, and I
Yeah,
got a
that would
handicap.
somewhat solve it if you had a spot right in front.
Okay, I'll find out then, but the police told me I couldn't, so,
We'll follow up with you via email. It's WRITE.
yes.
Okay.
Number 4,
Got it.
okay.
Thank you.
131.
All right, we also have another public comment that was emailed to us a few hours ago. I'll just read part of it. It's from Mr. Paul Alexander. He wrote, "I apologize for not being able to make the following request in person, but I appreciate you reading it during citizens' time. Please note that I'm writing as a citizen, not as a school board member. On your agenda for discussion this evening is the topic of school board salaries. My initial intent was to request this discussion at the end of my term to avoid the perception of voting yourself a raise. However, waiting to do so creates an opportunity loss situation with 4 more school board appointments scheduled to occur between now and the end of my current appointment. I'm asking the governing body to review the school board salary structure in order to bring it more in line with other districts in the region, and we will be discussing that at the end of tonight's meeting." All right, next is consent agenda. Tonight, the consent agenda includes approval of the minutes from December 3rd and 10th, 2024. That the governing body appoint the following individuals to serve as the stated Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments boards. That the governing body adopt a resolution appointing Mayor Alana Mensing as the city's Virginia Railway Express board member and the city's first alternative Potomac and Rappahannock Transportation Commission representative. Councilmember Darrell Moore as the city's Potomac and Rappahannock Transportation Commission representative and the city's first alternative Virginia Railway Express board member as presented. That the governing body appoint Mayor Alana Mensing to serve as the city's representative on the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. That is everything. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. On to new business. First is departmental metrics closeout.
So similar to previous years, the presentation have been sent to you all, and we'll post them on the website. Directors are dialed in if you have any questions, but they won't be presenting.
Anyone have any questions?
No?
I do have a question for the city manager. Is this data put on the webpage, or is it just for our consumption as a council?
But we will also post it on under the same agenda, so 1/7/2025.
But it doesn't go on the department's website?
No, the agenda website for the city.
Okay.
Would you like us to start putting on, because some of the departments don't have their own website, so like, for example, DSS. Yeah. So it's
Oh,
easier
so-
to consolidate them in one.
So maybe it's in minutes, it's fine, as long as we post. Okay, that's good, thank you.
Shall we email any questions we have or bring it up next meeting? Email. Okay, great. Next, we have an opening on both the Planning Commission and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Is there any interest from governing body members for taking either of those spots?
I'll take the planning commission.
Okay,
I'll take the Parks and Rec.
excellent. Okay, so the first motion is that the governing body appoint Councilmember Carrera to serve on the city's Planning Commission in accordance with City Code 2-142.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. And next, that the governing body appoint Councilmember Amaya to serve on the city's Parks and Recreation Advisory Board in accordance with City Code 2-142.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you for volunteering, both of you. Next up is appointment for vice mayor. Do we have any nominations or interest?
I move to
I-
nominate Daryl Moore.
I move to appoint Daryl Moore to vice mayor.
Okay.
Such enthusiasm.
We were fighting with each, I'm sorry.
All right, you've got two anyone else, any other nominations before I read the motion? Great. All right, the motion is that the governing body appoint Councilmember Moore to serve as the city's vice mayor in accordance with City Charter 3.5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Have to get you a new name tag.
Yes, yes.
All right, bank signatory authorization.
So now that, congratulations to Vice Mayor Moore. Now that you all have appointed him Vice Mayor, usually the mayor, Vice Mayor are signatory for checks, et cetera, with Sandy Spring Bank. So now that you have both, this is kind of a follow-up to kind of complete that authority. So that, let's say, Mayor, you're out of town, and the Vice Mayor can step in and sign. So it's kind of a housekeeping item than anything else.
Okay, any questions? The motion is that the governing body designate Councilmember, or Vice Mayor Moore as an authorized bank signatory of warrants and checks for the disbursement of city funds in accordance with City Charter 2-7.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, next we have our next public comment time. The last one been a whole minute ago.
Yeah.
Anyone? Public comment? No. All right, city manager report.
One slide just to bring up. While I bring up the slide, just a quick thank you to Public Safety and Public Works for their work the last 72 hours. They're working tonight still, so by tomorrow, hopefully the roads will get better, especially the side roads. There's still some hard ice that are built up, so we're gonna try and get out there tonight. But anyway, as Mr. Alexander brought up earlier with the school board stipend, we're not asking for a vote. This is kind of a briefing for your awareness, some more context. So some initial points to kind of frame this discussion. This past June, you all voted to revert back to the pre-COVID GB stipend. That was the 98 or 9,800, 9,200 split. And then you all also approved to bring the stipend up to 12,011.5 starting in July 1, 2025, and then up to the state amount in January 1, 2027. So there's some concurrent conversation that the school board should also, we should explore opportunities to give them a bump in their stipend as a means to recruit potential school board applicants. And based on sort of my initial conversation with Dr. Sander, now one possible scenario is the 4.5K split. Now, this is part of the school budget that they're gonna have to go through that budget cycle, and then once once Dr. Sander recommends the school budget, the school board approves it to include this proposal, whatever it may be, we will incorporate their budget. I will recommend the city budget to you all, and then you all approve the budget, and then there will be, just sort of the normal workflow. So really just an awareness item. Right now, we believe that based on that one possible scenario, the total ask is less than 10K, so very minimal, and we believe the school could absorb it as part of their normal budget. So really no significant impact to their budget and so forth. In terms of timeline, because we did not have this conversation, or we probably won't have this conversation, by the end of this year, it won't be a part of the 26 budget, but possibly the fiscal year 27. And based on state code, the increases probably won't be in effect until probably January 1, 2027. Just kind of heads up that if the school board does approve their budget and the city approve our budget, it may take a couple of cycles for it actually to reflect. So just some commentary for you all awareness.
Mayor, can I chime in on that real
Yeah.
quick, please?
Yes.
So the governing body doesn't actually approve the salaries for the school board. The school board does that itself. You approve the budget, Okay, if you don't like the school board salary, there's really nothing you can do about it other than maybe decrease the overall budget and tell them to find the money somewhere else. So it's not really a question of whether or not the governing body is going to approve it. But there is code section that says when the school board can do it. And what Keith was alluding to is a discussion we had earlier. Code section 22.1-32 says that the school board can establish a salary or a salary increase, but they have to do it prior to December 31st of the year preceding a year in which members are elected or appointed. Okay, and that increase, if they're elected or appointed between including January 1st up through June 30th, then it becomes effective July 1st. If they do it July 1st to December 31st, it doesn't become effective until January year. So since I believe for terms beginning on July 1st, that means that if this gets approved sometime this year by the school board, if they decide to do this, then it won't become effective until January 1st, 2027. So it's a little bit off the distance, but they do need to take action this year. Not necessarily their upcoming budget, but they need to take action before December 31st.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Yep.
Yeah, I had a question for the city. How much do the school directors currently get stipend?
The school board, you mean?
Yes.
Sorry, I said director.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
right now it's
Yeah.
3,500 for the chair and 3,000 for the regular members
3,000 annually.
annually.
So they get paid monthly though, right?
I
Yes.
believe they get drawn
Yes.
monthly like us. Yep.
It's monthly.
Monthly.
And although this doesn't, we don't approve this, this impacts the candidates that we do interview and we appoint, so.
And do we have a breakout on surrounding jurisdictions and how much they pay their school board?
Mr. Alexander sent that in his email. He sent it around 5 PM to all of
Oh,
us,
okay,
and
cool.
it'll be put in the minutes of the meeting, so if you want to
Yeah.
look at that, shows our
But
neighborhood.
they all have a copy of the email.
Yeah.
I put it there.
Okay.
Oh,
Here.
No,
it wasn't part of the packet, it was laid separate.
Oh, okay.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Elena.
Any other questions? Councilmember Javan? Questions, comments?
Yeah, I was just confused that, I think Dean answered my question, is that I think the board is supposed to decide on that. We will approve their budget when it's time to present. But other than that, I have no other questions. Mhm.
Questions, comments?
The only comment would be that I think just showing support would be appropriate.
The only comment I have, again, it's about fairness. I think they have to reflect what the other jurisdictions are doing. And so I do support even going a bit further. I think they should recommend going further if it especially comes out on January 1st, 2027. That's just my position. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Next up, still manager time, special election discussion.
So I think Dean is going to take the lead on this one, so I'll defer to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I pointed out in previous emails, and Stacy, I don't know if you were copied on those, so I'll just briefly summarize. The governing body has 15 days from the day of the vacation to petition the court for a special election. By law, if you guys are elected in November, then it will be November of next year, or this year, so it'll be November 4th, unless you decide on an earlier date. And if you decide on an earlier date, it has to comply with the requirements that it can't be within 55 days, it can't be on a special election, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe there was a general consensus for the November 5th, and if that's the case, it's pretty straightforward. But I would ask that you give me direction tonight what that date is. I have the petition order ready to go, but I need to sign it and get it to Lana, and so we can get it to the court before the 16th.
What are everyone's thoughts about having the meeting with the November general? Start with,
I think it's November 4th. is the
November
general
4th.
election,
That's what I support.
2025. I support that as well.
I support that.
It's fine.
you're going to abstain?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I sent the email late, but.
Yes. we
Oh,
saw it.
Yeah, I believe in a democratic process, and I'm not in favor of appointing somebody for an elected position. So I'm not going to partake in the interviews for the appointment.
Okay.
Steve, this is for the election though, to choose the date for the election, to fill that vacancy?
Yeah, my original was to have the special elections earlier than November 4th, but there's no consensus on that. So, I mean, then I guess I shall agree, we're agreeing to November 4th of 2025?
Yeah, I think. the
Is
final
that the
voice.
majority? Yeah, then that's fine, I'll go ahead.
Okay. I'll read that motion then, that the governing body direct the city attorney to petition the Prince William Circuit Court to issue a writ of election for a special election to fill the remainder of the term of council member vacated by Alana Mensing on January 1st, 2025, as a result of her qualifying as mayor pursuant to Virginia Code 24.2-226, with a request that the special election be held on the same day as the general election to be held in November 2025 pursuant to Virginia Code 24.2-682.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. All right. Accounting contract support?
Actually, before, 1 second, sir, sorry. Dean has another comment he would like to bring up. Dean, do you want to talk the K-HOP piece?
Yeah, so you remember the KHOP piece that we signed a purchase and sale agreement, or the parcel we signed a purchase agreement and sale agreement with KHOP for over there at Digital Drive and Manassas Drive. They're going to be coming forward with the rezoning, and I just wanted to give you a heads up that since the city is a property owner, we have to have signature on behalf of the city authorizing the application for the rezoning. That would be the mayor. And you've already approved the purchase and sale agreement, so there really isn't any other action you need to take unless you don't want her to sign it, in which case I'd ask that you make a motion to that effect. But otherwise, we'll just, once we get it, we'll just ask the mayor to come in and sign it. But I wanted to give you a heads up that that's what's going to be happening.
Okay. Anyone not want me to sign it? Okay. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
So for this next item, I'll kind of set the stage here for Josh. So a while back, governing body approved us outsourcing some of the accounting contracted work to 3 firms. And one of the requests was we do an annual performance evaluation prior to renewing. And the contracts are up for renewal in January, which is currently right now. And so that's what Josh's going to do. He's going to provide some evaluation feedback.
How do I actually bring it up on the monitor on the laptop? I can't really. Oh, I guess I can see it here. That's okay. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the governing body. I'm Josh McNeil, Director of Finance. Oh, by the way, congratulations, Vice Mayor Moore. I appreciate the time. I'd like to provide a quick update on our progress in the Finance Department with our contracted support. All right, so first I'll provide an update on our annual audit. I'll also give an overview on what we've accomplished over the last year with our contracted support from K-Tech and I. Bailey. Keith mentioned that we were supposed to go enter into contracts with 3 companies. We actually only entered into contracts with 2 companies, K-Tech and I. Bailey. K-Tech, we hired them to help us with project management and also process improvements. I. Bailey, they were brought in to help us primarily with our accounting function. And then I'll also outline what we are setting out to achieve in our in the second year of these engagements. Okay, so typically, in terms of the annual audit, typically we would have already closed out our annual audit and submitted our annual comprehensive report to the Auditor of Public Accounts. However, as you all know, we experienced some turnover in the department over the past year. So that said, the auditors encouraged us to take our time and be deliberate to avoid potential findings or material weaknesses, and I heeded their advice. One of the major hangups with our annual audit has been our bank reconciliation process. Ide Bailey, who's contracted to help us out with the accounting function and bank reconciliations, noted that we did have some systemic issues with our bank reconciliation process. So we've been working to resolve some of those issues while also trying to catch up on our bank reconciliations. Not sure if you all are aware, but whenever we entered into the agreement with Ide Bailey and they started their engagement, we were about 6 months behind on bank reconciliation. So what we've been doing is working on addressing the systemic issues and also catching up on the bank reconciliations. But I am happy to report that they have made considerable progress on FY24's bank reconciliations, and literally they could be complete any day now. I would say if I had to quantify it in terms of percentages, we're at about 95% in terms of completing the bank reconciliation. So once we complete that, we'll be comfortable enough to invite the auditors to come in to commence their field work and actually go through our numbers. My goal is to have that happen next week. Right now, we, on behalf of the city, our auditors, Robinson, Farmer, Cox and Associates, they did send a letter to the Auditor of Public Accounts just notifying them that we were going to extend our audit for an additional month and a half. So we're set to complete the audit and submit our annual comprehensive financial report to the Auditor of Public Accounts by January 31st of 2025. And right now, I would say we're still on schedule to actually meet that deadline. Okay, so specifically as it relates to the reconciliation issues, I just wanted to make you aware of some of the things that we identified. Well, actually what we're doing to address some of the issues that we identified. We're working with Ide Bailey to standardize our process and also document standard operating procedures so it can be utilized for internal staff. Our goal is not to have an ongoing contract with Ide Bailey year over year. At some point, we want to wean ourselves away from the outsourcing and bring it in-house. So that's what we're working towards. We're also making some adjustments to the way that our general ledger is currently mapped. It's the best way that I could put it. It's not ideal right now, and so yeah, we are working on correcting the flow of transactions to our ledger so it could make our reconciliation process a little bit more streamlined. And we're also going to simplify our chart of accounts. Right now, we've got some extraneous receivable accounts, which again add to the complexity of reconciliations. So that's something that we're also addressing with Ide Bailey. And then ultimately, like I said, we want to hire a permanent accountant once we've righted the ship, if you will, to be able to reconcile on a monthly basis like we're supposed to. So that was on the bank reconciliation piece, and as I said, Ide Bailey has kind of been helping us with that primarily. On the policy and process improvement side of the house, K-Tech, they're the other contracted company that's helping us. I've listed some of the policies that they've helped us revise, travel and training, we've implemented that. We're also looking at our purchase card program, and K-Tech has been instrumental in drafting a policy refresh on that as well. We hope to implement that in the coming months, if not early in FY26. Also, as it relates to process improvements, let me just scroll down so you can see it. We are also looking at our grants management process and formalizing that. So that's being drafted. And then also, this is something that Keith has been requesting for a few months now, is a cash flow forecasting system. So we are working on building that system out so we can more proactively, figure out how much cash we actually have in the bank, what's coming in and what's coming out more readily. So that's something that we're also working on. And then I mentioned this in the last time that I talked about our contractor support, but our accounts payable process has improved tremendously. I hadn't polled any of our vendors or anything like that, but I would guess that most of our vendors have noticed a difference in how quick we pay our bills now as compared to a few years back. So I'm proud about our process improvements in that functional area. So for the scope in year 2, this is what we're hoping to take up with I. Bailey. The bank reconciliation issues that I alluded to earlier, we definitely want to fix those and document our new established processes. Again, so we can bring it in-house, and we've got a process that new staff, existing staff can reference documentation to make sure that we're doing our bank reconciliations in a timely fashion. And then also there's an organizational assessment that we're talking about. I'm still considering whether or not we actually need to move forward with it, but essentially it would provide us with an in-depth review of our key operational areas to identify strengths, weaknesses, and some, and also reduce some risk in areas. So I'll wait and see on that, but that's still on the table for now. And then also with K-Tech, here's what I'm thinking with K-Tech, temporary accountant assignment. So instead of hiring a permanent accountant in the next 5-6 months, I think the best approach would be to bring in a temporary accountant, leveraging K-Tech's contract for a couple of reasons. The first reason is some of the issues that I'm talking about now. I'd rather us have those things figured out before we bring someone into the organization. And then also, the second reason is I was looking at some statistics on turnover in finance, and I guess since 2022, we've had 8 departures in the department, 5 voluntary, 3 involuntary. Can't tell you why, everybody left and then the reasons and all of that, but I would feel more comfortable if we were a little bit more stable and we had all of our processes in order, again, before we brought somebody else into the fold. It's just a theory of mine that that's probably contributed to some of the turnover. So I just want to address that before we bring in another permanent staffer. And I should mention that we did advertise to replace we've got 2 vacancies. We got a senior accountant vacancy and an accountant vacancy. We advertised for the accountant vacancy, got a lot of interest. We interviewed a few folks and just I didn't see the local government experience, the experience in the Commonwealth coming through in applicant pool. So again, I think it's just best if we outsource that work on a temporary basis and then later hire a permanent accountant. With that, yeah, that's all I got, and I'll take any questions that you might have. Excuse me.
All right, thank you, Josh. And please send congratulations to your team for getting caught up with those reconciliations. It's a big job. I just have one question before we pass it along. How long do you envision that we'll need the temporary accountant for?
Yeah, based on what I budgeted, about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Questions? No? Nope?
I just have a quick question. Josh, and your team has done a great job. You've done a great job. The question I have is, I know we're moving over to the Tower Munis system. I know it's renamed something else. When is that going to be live?
Yeah, so we just signed the contract December 31st, 2024. The goal right now is for us to start implementation, correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, in July of 2025 is when that's supposed to kick off.
It's a fully web-based system, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. And we're still dealing with utility billing, and that's more of a staffing capacity, anything else. We only have the bandwidth to do one at a time, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a couple questions.
Yes.
Have you been able to see any kind of cost savings on your accounts payables in regards to late fees or penalties?
Yes, we have.
So how much are we looking at? Have we saved, because we're more efficient in paying our bills? Have we been, do you
Yeah.
have those types of numbers?
So I would say we don't have a established baseline to actually compare to, but what I do have is that in a prior year, we had an exorbitant amount of fees. We hadn't had any of those fees, in the last 12 months. So I would say, yeah, we are saving.
Because
in that area.
it might be worth it to look at, to say, hey, that's paying for these vendors to come in and help you. They were saving money from not having to pay these fees with penalties and late fees. So just something like that. And then also, can HR help you as far as telling you why folks are leaving? I know you're not tracking it, but maybe HR is leaving some type of exit interview or that type of thing to help guide you with that?
Yeah, Valerie has been doing a lot of exit interviews based on, we've had multiple folks that left, not just in finance, but across the board, unfortunately. And one of the common themes is pay, better benefits elsewhere. That's very high up there, statistically speaking. There's other stuff like closer to home, less commute, et cetera, but pay and benefits is the predominant theme. But we do exit interviews.
Yeah, just working together more closely, maybe with HR, to find out why folks are leaving, so you have that intel and to help you with that hiring process and maybe where some problem areas are that maybe you don't even know about, right?
Yes.
And then, could you just explain to me one area where you've seen like a key efficiency that's made things better? Like one particular area?
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about?
I got to highlight accounts payable.
Okay.
Yeah, we've when looking at the data comparing prior year to current year, we went from 72%. That's what we were paying our bills within 30 days at 72%. Now we're hovering around 90%.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
great. It's nice to see progress. So
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
I have a question. I don't know if you are the person that's the process, but when it comes to the deposits that the community center charges for event rentals and all those things that they rent, who does the reimbursement of those deposits? Do they come through you, or do they go through a different?
Yeah, so it's initiated at the department. They complete a refund request form, and then they send it to finance, and we treat it like an invoice, and we pay it out within 30 days.
So it takes about 30 days to get it paid out?
We've got a net 30-day,
From the moment that you receive it from the community center?
from the department, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll look at the date oftentimes, so if it was held on for maybe, a week or two too long, then we'll definitely rush it. Our goal is to pay invoices within 15 days, even though
Okay.
we have 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So just to kind of add one last comment on this, we will be renewing this coming year, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. All right, and we're up to closed meeting now. Dean, would you like to read us into closed meeting?
Yes, I would. I recommend the governing body go into closed meeting to consult with legal counsel retained by the governing body regarding a legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by such legal counsel pursuant to paragraph 8 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. We're in closed session.